Hey, you're listening to iFanboy Pick of the Week. I just glanced over to see it. Episode 1001.
Let me tell you something. First of all, I had two feelings this week getting ready for the show. One, I was like, should we have taken this week off? Because I was pretty tired after
Sure.
last week took a lot of work, and so I was like, should we have given ourselves the week off? Because I was just like, oh, we're back into it. And then two, you had mentioned on 999 that saying that number out loud freaked you out.
Mhm.
And it didn't freak me out. And even 1,000 didn't freak me out. I think because we had spent so much of the year prepping for it, it was more like an end goal than anything. But typing out 1001 got me. That's the one that got me where I was like, oh, we're into a new epic of this.
Do you know, when you're a kid and you hear something and said this is the way it is, and you just come to believe that is fact, and then at some point it's challenged? Mm-hmm. So I feel like I have a vague memory, and I've been following this forever, of not saying the "and" when I say a number. So it wouldn't be 1001, it would be 1001.
Right.
And I think that is a rule, but now I don't know if it's true or where I heard it. It's just, but when somebody says "and," I'm like,
Well, it's just a way of saying it. 1001, 1001.
Well, I mean, I also know you're not supposed to use a preposition at the end of the sentence, but I'm not stopping anybody from doing it, and it doesn't necessarily make you stupid. I'm Josh Flanagan. This is my co-host Conor Kilpatrick. We will make 1000. We'll make 1001 feel like 1040. Don't you? I said "and." I can't even help it. This is iFanboys 2025. We're about a month and a half away from not having to say that anymore.
Josh is sick, by the way.
Show.
Anyone who can hear it or is watching. Yeah. He got sick as soon as we finished the live show last week. So he's not.
I don't think it was related. It's our 25th year of doing iFanboy every week for 25 years. One of us has posted the pick of the week, and then for the last 20 years, we did a show about it. This is the pick of the week is the best. Shut up. The pick of the week is the best comic that person read this week. And thank God I have the script, but I think is when I look at the script, I get lost because I was like, what was I doing? Because I'm tired, so the ADHD is out of control, and I haven't taken any meds. We're there to talk about the other books from the week, the Patron Pick listener mail. It'll happen. Here's your spoiler warning. There are going to be spoilers. Exercise caution. Despite the fact that many times I thought I had the pick, forgetting that I had it last week. Conor had the pick.
I had the pick, and mercifully, after last week's show and after a lot of comics last week, we had a very light fifth week this week. Initially, I had 8 books on my list. I was so happy. I ended up at 10 because I missed 2 when I looked at the list originally. So I had read 10 books, and probably coming to no surprise, although there was lots of good books this week. The pick of the week was Batman and Robin, Year 1, number 12, the final issue of this 12-issue series from Mark Waid, Chris Samnee, Matthias Lopes, and Clayton Cowles. Telling as the title says, the first year of the Batman and Robin Dick Grayson partnership. Just wonderful. And, this issue in particular, I just loved the ending. And we got sort of, I feel like Mark Waid's, ethos on comics in this series, but in this issue in particular, where I'm just going to talk about the ending in which, they've defeated the bad guys. Bruce has gotten Dick back from child services. And they show up for the first meeting with Jim Gordon on the roof with the first bat signal with the press there. And Batman has switched from a black and gray suit to a blue and gray suit. And that is A, in line with what they're doing in the Batman series right now, the Matt Fraction series. But B, it's a visual signifier. And the thing was always that Robin brought the light to Batman, right? He made him less grim, less angry. He's able to smile more. And that's the visual signifier here is that at the end of this issue, the partnership is cemented. Throughout the whole series, Batman's wavering a little bit on whether or not he should have this kid who is identified as 10 in this book running around.
Which, by the way, I've had 2 10-year-olds. Nope. Nope.
Well, were either of your 10-year-olds raised in the Carney world?
No, they haven't. But there's certain things that he says in here.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it's way too precocious. And I get it. He's supposed to be exceptional and it's fair. But I was like, if you're going to make him 10, don't make him 10, basically. But whatever. He was 8 in the original comics. It's all fun, which is absurd. Then again,
in the 1930s and 40s, 8-year-olds, they were smoking cigarettes. They were working in the garment factories. They were murdering Germans in the trenches in France.
When I was 4, I took a flight by myself from Florida to Maine, and you had to be 5, and I did it when I was 4, and so I was supposed to lie, but I fucked it up. They were like, "How old are you?" And I was like, 4. 5. And I remember this. But like the idea of putting a 4-year-old on a fucking plane by
Yeah.
themselves, like it's
Different world.
absurd.
It's a different
And that
world.
was, that was 44 years ago, I guess. But yeah. Anyway, I digress. It did like it not when I read that, I was like, all right, come on. Like just the size, but whatever. It's fine.
And then, even, and this is, we talk all the time about Batman on the show. I mean, it's the most talked about book in the history of the show, and what he means and the different versions of him. And then and even here, to me, this ending scene where he, they're in the spotlight of the bat signal. He's in his slightly modified suit. They take questions from the press, which was like, I've never seen that before.
I had to flip back. I was like, wait, has he been not blue the whole time?
Yeah.
Like I don't notice it anymore.
Yeah, because for so long they used blue as a highlight color for black. That's
like
why so many people have blue hair in comics. But no, they let with computer coloring, they've slowly switched to highlighting with like a lighter black or gray. But and then they take questions from the press. They jump in their fucking plane and fly off, and it was just fun. And then there's like a nice little like coda image. It's just this ended perfectly for me. And it's a bummer. I know that we can't shackle Wade and Somni and Lopes and Kells to a chair and make them do this book forever. But this was such a perfect.
He's looked into it.
I've asked people. I asked some of my old friends in New York.
He had some lawyers. He was like, let me just say, just as a hypothetical.
If I paid for it, how liable am I? So,
like, how many steps removed do I need to be in terms of shell corporations?
And how many more patrons do we need to afford this? So,
right.
This is going to be the perfect hardcover to hand to people who like, vaguely superheroes or like Batman, or maybe don't read comics regularly or stopped reading comics a long time ago. Give it to your dad. It just captures that wonderful smiling ethos. And remember that thing that Darwin always told us, Josh, was that these heroes should be smiling, and that's one of the things you saw in his work in New Frontier in particular. And look at this final image. I mean, how often do you see Batman smiling? It's just this is kind of, we've talked. One of the questions we got on our big show last week was, how have your tastes changed throughout the years? We talked about the fact that we used to, when we first started in our 20s, we wanted everything serious, and that's partially a result of feeling that the comics themselves weren't being taken seriously, so we wanted them to be serious. And even the idea of silliness, was like anathema because we were afraid of comics being considered silly. Now that we're older, we don't give a shit about that, and it's just like, these should be fun. These superhero comics should be fun. I mean, you can have bad things happen, and
it's
you can have serious things happen, but it should be fun also at its heart. And I like seeing Batman and Robin as buddies, like each other, smiling, laughing, joking. I don't need Batman to be the grim robot of death all the time. In fact, I don't really like it at all anymore, except for rare occasions. And I just like this partnership. I like between Batman and Robin, between Wade and Somni. They did the story together. Somni did some of the lettering in this issue. Like, this was a true collaboration between 4 creators. And this was wonderful. It was a wonderful issue.
I just think it's so neat that like Chris Somni is this like perfect blend of classic and modern. Like I could see like this work. If this work was coming out of like the Wally West era, like he would, if he had done this in the 50s and 60s, he would be considered
in the Wally Wood era. You mean?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Wally Wood. Yeah,
I was like, that's era.
Works too, but I'm saying like if he had been doing that back in that time, your Harvey Kurtzman era, your Wally Wood, like he'd be considered like one of the greatest artists of all time. He'd be a Rushmore person, right. And it would have fit. Like it would have been like a slightly advanced, but no more than like when Neil Adams came along. And you're like, oh, this guy's a million miles ahead, and he can do it today and still look like one of the best contemporary artists at the same time, and that's amazing. Like there's very few things that you can apply that to. Where it just sort of fits in everywhere because it takes the best of everything. That's
I mean, we could talk about the plot. Sure. I mean, it wrapped up nicely. Batman and Robin take down Two-Face and Clayface and all the face guys, and there's wonderful action. I'm just looking through the car chase scene and the fist fighting, and Alfred's in it, and it shows you how important he is, and blah blah blah. People are saying we could talk about Alfred, but The storytelling is unmatched here. You can read it without the words. The words are wonderful, But and there's a nice callback here where Robin picks up Two-Face's gun, and if you recall earlier in the series, he had pointed a gun at somebody. And this one, he says, shouts "no guns" and kicks him in the face. Like, it's just everything here was so nicely handled, and there's bits of humor. I like when Bruce finally gets Dick back from the judge. He tries to ask him about adopting him, and his lawyer pulls him out, which in the old continuity didn't happen until Dick was well into his 20s. He finally adopted him, which was a very emotional issue when that finally happened.
I like that he didn't know what he was like. I like that there should. I think it's better if there's areas that Bruce Wayne is not perfect at.
Sure.
Like we did again in the serious era, the solution for that was to be like, oh no, he knows everything. He's perfect at everything. Like if you give him some Achilles heels, and that for a lot of times that's emotion. That's and they do that. But I like that. I don't want him to be perfect. I don't.
He should be a terrible chef.
Yeah.
He's never had to cook. Alfred's done all the cooking.
He should also have a terrible taste in food. Like, he literally doesn't know the difference between things that have calories.
Well, Alfred's been giving him probably a high class menu his whole life.
But I also don't think he's turning it like he has it, but he doesn't know how to preach something. I don't know. I was gonna say, like, you don't. I know we've talked about how you don't necessarily want these characters to advance. I'm changing slightly my point, but like where Spider-Man gets married and everything changes or whatever. But I do like the idea that we can live. Like, I think if I'm doing current continuity and I make the choice, I have a post-Grimm Batman. I have a Batman who went through that, came out the other side, is still Batman / Bruce Wayne, but he does appreciate his family. He does know that there are things that are great in life other than the constant pursuit of justice. I think that's the most interesting form of that character.
Yep.
And also, I think it's been working really well with Superman in a way where, like, Superman having had a son and being married to Lois, I think works really well. It's where I've been reading Superman forever is not an uncomfortable place. Like, I feel like that, I don't know, maybe it's because those characters are kind of father figure characters. Not like I know everything parents, but young parents.
Well, there's a reason why for long-term readers, the Bat family era, which is like the 90s through the early 2000s, is so popular amongst them, is because he was the father of all these kids. He had a family around him. He wasn't this lonely, angry, loner vigilante. He had, Robin and Nightwing and Batgirl and Harold and Huntress, and all these people hanging around. Harold and Maude. People forget about Maude. Maude was very important. Maude great with cars. I was
like, and then there's Maude. Go on.
Just hello. So it's just anyway. We can't talk anymore because we have a lot of books to talk about. But I thought this was going to be a show where we had fewer, like hardly any books to talk about. But no, we have 9.
Dude, I had 14 books.
Well, when I had 8, I was like, oh, maybe we'll talk about every book I read this week, and then we won't have any on the after show. And I started thinking about bits we could do, and then we have books to talk about the after show.
Yeah.
So I did give a serious consideration to Absolute Batman 2025 Annual #1, which was also out this week, from main story by Dunny Warren Johnson and Mike Spicer, Clayton Cowles, and the two backup stories, one by James Herron on story and art, and one by Meredith McLaren on everything. But I didn't love the backup stories. I didn't really enjoy either one. But I thought the main story was awesome. And, because this isn't your traditional Bruce Wayne, this is the darker one. This is all about his emotional fallout. He murders a bunch of dudes in this issue. And in flashing back to conversations with his dad, who you will recall was murdered in a mass shooting in the first issue, or at least
in the zoo.
Has just breaks down on the final page, and I thought, wow, that was great. Like, I thought, I mean, this was neck and neck with year one, totally different ethoses, but totally different Batmans, so that's okay. Or is it Batsman?
Isn't that a cricket player?
Or no, a Batman in the war wasn't that like the valet to the officer or something? I think that in the British Army, I think the Batman is a title in the British Army. I think it's the valet to the officer. Anyway, I thought this was great.
I like how in deference to the British there, you pronounce the French word wrong.
Well, they hate the French.
It's valet, so they're just gonna be like, I'm not gonna pronounce it that way. I'm putting
Not
the T.
no, Downton Abbey. They say valet, and I was talking about the British.
It's the same thing though. It's a
I
French word,
know
and
that,
they've
but
said,
I'm talking about the
I
the
understand.
British officer, and they
You
call
did
it
it
valet.
correctly. I understand.
We had Daniel Warren Johnson's signature.
Wait, can you take a little while and explain to me why it's lieutenant? Because I've been alive a long time, and I can't.
There's no
figure
F
it out.
in there. There's no F at
Okay.
all. There's no T
It's
either.
not even
until the end. We had Jenny Warren Johnson's signature wrestling moves in the fight scenes. There's a pile driver.
Yeah, there was. I saw that.
He pile drives a dude's head into the ground and snaps it. So what did you think of this comic?
I think that it did a really good job of separating this Batman from the main universe Batman. I think that maybe other people understood this sooner, but that Beta Ray Bill series that he did was like a sign to everybody that not only is this guy who everybody thought this is actually he's a pretty exciting new artist. It's like, no, he's a more exciting writer. I think actually he functions very much as a writer artist in the Frank Miller mode. But just the sort of ability to apply a somewhat narrow spectrum of interest and talent, like everything you're like, oh, this guy likes wrestling, but the way that he applies it to these superhero, it never gets old. You're just like, yeah, that makes sense. This should be bombastic like that. And I think that by seeing him somewhat infrequently, it keeps it special.
Totally. I mean, he wrote Transformers for 2 years, but he didn't draw it for 2 years. So it's still when he shows up writing and drawing a story,
it's
you're
special.
like, oh.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know, I saw this was coming out, and I kind of went, all right, I guess I'll look at who's doing it. And I went, oh shit. And so
exactly the same.
But again, as the story unfolds, he could just very easily have done a really fun story where Batman takes on a lot of dudes in gruesome ways and beats them up and pile drives them and drives trucks over them. But instead, he ties it into his father's memory, talking about how to be a good man and how to be strong and compassionate means you're a good man, and paralleling that with Batman doing all the things that are not compassionate, and then at the end just having him fall to his knees and cry silently in the panel in front of his giant truck of death was just a wonderful bit of story.
I like how he didn't remove the Caterpillar badging. He's left that on there.
It was good. It was like
you got it. You know, a truck's big when it has its own staircase that's permanent and in front of the intercooler. I think, this is to be the second clergy type character who has shown him the way. Not as much fun as the rabbi in the other part. Wait, was that this book?
No, that was the Batman.
No. That was the. You're right. The Batman.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of Batsmen. There's a lot of valets.
That's what he called them. That's what Lord. That's what.
I know that. I understand.
Lord Grantham said valet.
I was very happy to see. I didn't really care about the other story, but I was really happy to see James Harren and Dave Stewart working together.
Yeah, I mean, it looked great. I just the actual story didn't register with me at all, and then the final.
Well, James Harren's been doing those kaiju, mecha stories for a while, and I've tried really hard, and I don't like them. But he's still one of the most exciting artists out there for me.
Yeah, and then the last story was 2 pages of Bat Facts, and I just went, okay, and I just kept going with my life. So this was also wonderful, and if you're one of the people not reading Absolute Batman, which apparently hardly anybody is, this would be an interesting issue to check out to see sort of the tonal differences and everything.
They're all not going to be this.
No, not at all. Quick break time. We'll be back right after this. Okay, and then the third and final book that I was considering for pick of the week was Superman Red and Blue 2025 special number 1. They just crammed out these specials this week.
I read all these together, and I think I did them in the opposite order that we just talked about them. And I was like, oh, that could be his pick. And then I got the second one, that could be his pick. And then I got, well, that's his pick.
But this was wonderful. Great Paul Dini story, great Dan Abnett story, a great Michael Walsh story, which might have been my favorite one.
Yeah.
But my main takeaway from this and from the last time we saw Rainbow, you told me it was Roll, right? It's not Ralph.
Roll. Yep.
Rainbow Roll, right? Superman. Give her the goddamn Superman book already. She is really good at these characters. I mean, again, great Paul Dini story, great Dan Abnett story. Michael Walsh's story was amazing, but her story, her specialty, at least so far, has been writing snappy Lois and Clark banter at work. And I finished that story, and I was like, please give her a book. Give her The Adventures of Superman. You can keep action, and you can keep Superman going.
Just
give her The
one.
Adventures of Superman. Give her Adventures of Superman and Lois Lane. Give her something. Like, you're wasting talent here.
There's so many great Superman stories right now. It's stupid, and there's all these people who can do it, and they can't necessarily do it like on an ongoing basis.
Sure.
But to see Paul Dini come back, I can't remember the last comic he did, but just like he knows these characters, because of course he worked on the 2 animated series, which are the 2 best versions of Batman and Superman in my mind, especially Superman.
The Superman, the Paul Dini story, I thought the art was a little rough. I didn't love the Mirka and Dolfo art, which made everyone look like they were 12, but that's fine.
I think it's just a style.
Yeah, it's a style that I just don't love. And it was Superman with Supergirl and Crypto teaming up, very much a movie vibes tie-in. The Michael Walsh story, first of all, I thought these color specials are supposed to use those colors as sort of highlight colors. And like in the first story, like Superman is it's like almost fully colored.
Yeah.
And Superman's fully colored. But the Michael Walsh one really uses the color sparingly, where it's mostly like blue tones, and then the red is the pop of color. And I thought that story was wonderful. A very sexy Lois. And Superman this is, the classic Superman story, trying to, you probably felt the stress of this, live up to his responsibilities while also being Superman. See Astro
I
City
was a little like, oh, this is the first issue of Astro City, but not in a bad way. It's just that idea. You know what I found myself? I kept thinking a couple of things as I was reading this. I was like, wait, does he need to sleep and eat? I don't remember.
They vary on that. They vary on that. Yeah. I think every here's where we need Ryan. I feel like every creature needs to sleep at least, right? I mean, it's for the brain health. I think everyone with a functioning brain.
We don't even know if he's a carbon-based life form. We don't know how the structures. We do know, however,
he's normal except for the sun. If they were in Krypton, he would need to sleep.
He's powered by the sun, so he definitely doesn't need food. If he's solar powered, basically.
Right.
The sleeping, I don't know.
That's a mental health thing. Dan Abnett's story was really fun about him.
Also, if he did grow up sort of on Earth in this, like, he would just do those things, like anybody is any part of culture.
Who doesn't love a good nap? Do I need the nap? No.
Oh, I do.
Do I want the nap? Yes. The third story, the Dan Abnett story, and Caitlin Yarsky, was about him saving a small town reporter from a giant robot, and then he gives her an exclusive interview. That was fun. I thought she was gonna fall in love with him a little bit, because it was very sort of like he kept giving her the eyes and the smiles, but that was fun because it sort of tied into his whole.
I really liked that because it was sweet, and it wasn't. I found it was like he was just like, I'm gonna treat you like a colleague. We're gonna be cool with you. I'm gonna be a cool dude, and I like what you're doing, and I don't know, like, you don't get that a lot, but it's that every once in a while they sort of pin that journalist thing back on him, and we have to remember, like, it's a thing that he loves and has respect for, and his favorite person in the world is a journalist. So why not?
This whole thing was, she asked him about his secret identity. He says, actually, Superman's my secret identity, but I don't think it's that simple. I think his real identity is a mix of Superman and Clark, because the bumbling Clark he plays at the planet isn't the Clark he is at home. It's like
he's a little like that around Lois, depending how he's written.
Right. I feel like it's a Venn diagram of Superman and Clark, and when you overlap them, the part in the middle is who he actually is. He plays a role of the planet, and he's a bit more, heroic as Superman. And in the middle, when he's with Mom, Pa, and Lois, secretly, that's who he really is in the middle.
Well, he's got a code switch 2 different jobs.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So most people at their day job, they try to look more competent, and he's got to actually go the other way, because otherwise they would be suspicious, which is nice.
And then
your wife's the boss, you can just kind of coast.
Sexy. So, and again, the Rainbow Roll story is awesome because it shows lots of facets. They get to do the reporter thing. Clark is reporting as Superman in the office on the phone. Seems dangerous.
I thought that, but it was awesome.
Seems like a little bit. There's a lot of chance of going wrong there. But how often do you see Clark doing journalism in the suit alongside Lois? Like, it was a really great
working the phones.
Yeah, and then they get to have the romance, and it's their anniversary, and I just finished it. I was like, God damn, she needs to write a Superman book like right now.
Yeah.
It was a great comic. It was another great comic.
It totally was. Four good stories. Good to great.
So it'll be interesting to see what the next comic says. Imperial #4, the final issue of the Jonathan Hickman resetting of the order in the Marvel Cosmic Universe. Josh, this is your domain, the Marvel Cosmic Universe. What did you think of this final issue?
What happened?
Yeah,
and more importantly, why did it happen? Like, it got worse as like this is classic Jonathan Hickman to me. It was like, all right, cool, big opening, big ideas, you're moving all the pieces. Usually I lose the thread after 4 issues, but there was only 4 issues. I got to the end of it and I was just like, are you kidding me? First of all, what is Imperial like? Is this the idea that like the Inhumans are going to make the Empire, but also like I guess they've set up the idea of warring empires, which is what we had at the beginning of the story anyway. It just introduced.
Well, the difference is that we've added the Inhumans as, excuse me, as wanting to take back the Krees, right? They're outshoots of the Kree. And so here they've decided they're going to reclaim the Kree Empire,
right,
and become a cosmic force again. We talked about this before when they first revealed that, I think in the second or third issue. I don't.
But that was the end of the story.
Yeah,
that's that. After that happened, nothing else.
Nothing else really happened.
So you had 2 issues of epilogue, more or less.
The other thing they did here was they basically said that, and I really don't care for this, but whatever. I don't tend to read the books. Is that Black Panther basically says that Wakanda is going for the same thing. They're good, not for the Kree, but Shuri's talking to T'Challa on the ship, and she says, "What's next?" And he says, "Take a look." And he's looking at the whole universe. So he's setting up some sort of galactic conflict between the Wakandans and the Krees and the Skrulls, which is what, like I said, that was the start of the book anyway. So nothing really changed.
So as I have said, I don't really understand Wakanda as an empire. It seems antithetical. You're talking
galactic
about
empire.
Any kind. They're an African nation, and the whole point of them was that as Europe colonized the rest of Africa and sucked its resources dry and impoverished its people, then Wakanda was able to exist on its own. So isn't it weird that they would then, like, it doesn't seem like the move of a caring benefactor of a king. It doesn't make sense to me. That it's like an empire. An empire literally implies you are conquering other peoples and cultures.
Right.
And why would they do that? That's weird.
How did you
had that thing? Like, the only other thing was that there was a split in the Kree Empire because there was supposedly like the prophet had returned or whatever, and then it was revealed to be a hoax. But then everybody chose to keep believing it so that they could align with where we're going to be anyway. So those are the 2 things that happened.
And also, Peter Quill is now in charge of the Galactic Council.
Yeah,
and he and
boring.
I guess we're buddies. I now hate each other.
It's because Quill decided to go with the lie, and his justification was that his father had worked for it. So it's the greater good kind of thing. And Rich Riders is like, it's a lie. You can't build your thing on a lie, which is, what is the greater good?
Peter's like, look at this great throne I get now.
He's sitting in there by himself. It was weird. Like,
how did you feel about the Maximus Black Bolt schism?
I loved that scene. I loved that scene so much. That was the best thing in the whole issue, which was like he's kicking him out, and I was like, "Oh, that's cold." And then and then he saved it. The little bit at the end where Max is like, way to go, get him, boy. And I was like, that was awesome. That was great. It's Loki Thor. I mean, it's all it is. But
I had completely forgotten that Hulk was involved in this at all.
No, nope. And
Hulk,
go ahead.
Hulkling, yes, but then in here. There's a Hulk guy wearing a helmet. I just forgot that was the Hulk.
I was like, is that Scar or is that?
And so then
take that out. Nothing.
She-Hulk calls him and she's like, "Hey, I want to come. I want to go home." And I was like, "Oh, right, that's Hulk."
That's from her. Like, she had like a one shot where that was the thing that happened. None of that's necessary. Like, you could have taken them out. It didn't matter. They didn't need to be there.
I didn't hate reading this whole thing.
I didn't hate reading.
It was interesting. This issue was tough.
At the end, it was like Why did I do that?
And the thing is, this only matters, and who cares if it matters, but this only matters if anyone else picks up these threads and runs with them. If no one else does,
Mhm.
then what were we doing? You know,
We're doing
so
gods.
I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it, but
I
it's like the
there
story's
was
over,
a
but continues in these other books. Like I- I'm not reading any of these. I'm not going to read Nova Centurion. I'm not going to read Planet She-Hulk. I'm not going to read Black Panther Intergalactic, and I'm not going to read Wiccan, which is Road.
did
So
did
I guess people are taking up the threads. I'm just not going to follow them.
did God, who's the writer? Like the very good the guy who
Hemingway,
the black no the black
Fitzgerald,
writer who took over
Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Ta-Nehisi Coates. He started the Empire thing, didn't he?
Maybe I don't
I
remember.
think that started in his line.
His book.
Between the World and Me.
Oh, was
Great
that
book.
in the Between the World and Me? Did he talk about making Black Panther an international despot?
No, I just named the book of his that I read.
Okay.
I'm virtue signaling.
We're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna talk while we're on the break. Josh and I are just gonna keep naming random books, and then we'll be back right after this. We're back with The Expanse, The Little Death #2. Is this about orgasms?
Yeah, it's Le Petit Mort.
Yeah, is that what this is about?
I mean, they're alluding to it. Andy Diggle and Wes Chatham. Wes Chatham apparently worked on the story in this in some way. I don't know how much scripting he did, but he played Amos.
They did list him first in the credits over Andy Diggle.
Well, yeah,
which was
well, I absolutely remember the press release. They were like a big star, and I was like, name another thing he's been in. But all that aside, that's just marketing stuff is stupid. This is a little mini series about Amos. Amos, any right-thinking person's favorite character from The Expanse.
Oh, totally.
There have been multiple Expanse comics, little mini series here and there. I don't think I finished any of them. This one is a solo Amos adventure, and if you know anything about the books and the little novellas that came out, solo Amos adventures are super fun. And this is really good. I read it and I'm like, this feels like The Expanse. It feels like a little side short story. I don't have to look at too much of the James. Oh my God, who is he? The captain, James.
Oh, I was gonna say,
I know
James Dolan, and then I went,
no.
to James Diggle, which is not even a thing.
No,
Holden.
You don't have to see much of Holden. These are all the movie versions of them. So
right.
Holden's sort of my least favorite. But either way, I really do want to give credit where like this is a good little Expanse story, and I think that the press said, Wes Chatham knows this character better than anybody, and I was like, really? Because there are two men who have one fake name, and they know him better than you, or he does, depending on. But either way, that he does have some claim to that, having spent the most
He's
time
a great actor.
in that guy's head.
The seasons I watched, he was awesome, even if I hated him with the hair and the beard. But supposed to look like a big baby. But
yeah,
but he was great. He was he was one of the best parts of the show. The other best part of the show was canceled, kicked off the show. But
which is too bad. But either way, it's a good little miniseries. He found himself on a little moon. He's in the middle of a bunch of political stuff, and he's really just trying to. A kid got hurt, and he's like, "You can't let kids get hurt."
Not around Amos.
He's a moral absolutist. This one.
Well, I mean that
about some things. Yes.
Speaking of some things, Runaways #5. That was a weird transition, but the final issue of this miniseries tying into one world under doom. That's true. So this is the final issue of this particular Rainbow Rowell mini. What'd you think?
It was great. I really enjoyed it. It made me think that it's stupid that this doesn't get to keep going. And obviously it left a door open at the end. There's a really interesting thing where, in the original series, the idea is that Alex betrayed them all. And slowly over time, they've sort of welcomed him back in, which I think kind of all fits with the ethos of like, no, these are the rejects, so let's work on it. And it's comics, so you can do whatever you want. The big thing at the end, I mean, like the sort of point of the whole thing is that Doombot, who this whole time, like the joke of him is that he is Doom, and he's a very loyal. He thinks everything Doom does is great. He's he's a Laga. He's a Laga head. But and they talk about it constantly, and And finally, at the end, like, he becomes the runaway. He sees the news and that Doom has used all of the children, and he creates a cognitive dissonance in his robot mind, and he's like, I can't be for Doom. I have to go back and
Because
protect
his
my
whole
kids.
programming is to protect the kids, the runaway kids. So
Right.
to him, the idea of hurting kids is breaks his programming,
Right.
breaks his loyalty to Doom.
And it's just it's like a fun thing, and he still looks like Doom, and he's got that great thing where he has no facial expression, so he always looks like he's angry, like an angry robot.
Yeah,
Just a great idea.
I wish that Elena Casagrande had drawn the whole thing. I wasn't a huge fan of Roberta in Granada's art, but I liked it quite a bit. And I guess Nico and Carolina are continuing in the Strange Tales book, but
Who's writing that though?
I don't know. But shouldn't it be Nico and Gert, because they were the ones that she needs for the magic to happen? But
well, I don't know.
Anyway, this was fun. This was enjoyable. I liked this.
It was a great mini, straight continuation of what had happened before. One of those books that really well integrates well into an event that's going on. It actually makes it better as opposed to sidetracks it. Like they're able to do character development in the midst of, because of the event as opposed to in spite of it.
Correct.
That would bring us to this thing, which we need to talk about shortening. Patreon.com/iFanboy is how you can support the show. We are a listener-supported endeavor. You can directly support the show, become a part of our communities on Discord and apparently on Facebook. You can vote on the Patron Pick. You can get a Patron Power Live on the show. You can join the monthly Patron Hang. We didn't give away a Patron Pick last week, did we?
Yeah, we did. You did.
We did?
No, you gave it to James. James did it.
Okay. That's right. Okay, that makes sense. Because I was like, I haven't done this in a while. And I was like, oh, that's right. I graciously handed off $10 higher. You'll get a monthly. You'll get an ad-free version of all of our shows. You'll get the pick of the week. This show a day early in audio. It's only audio.
Only in audio form. You get it
only
early.
in audio form.
Yeah.
And because on video it will still come out for everybody on Sunday. But you will also get the iFanboy after show on Sundays, which is where we talk about all the books that didn't make the rundown. For this one, you can get a discount if you sign up for one full year at once. You can send or receive gift memberships. Go to patreon.com/iFanboy, add a /gift if you want to do that part. iFanboy@threadless.com is our merch store. There are 23 designs. We put them on t-shirts. You can put them on all sorts of things. You've heard the deal. It says new design there, but we don't mean it.
We don't skip that part. There's no more new design. That was the summertime.
I was like, well, you don't make those kind of mistakes. So did I do that? Anyway,
that's just we've been copying and pasting it since July.
There's 23 of them, so chances are, if you go look at them, something's going to be new to you. Yeah, something good. I could look at it right now and be like, all right, that's like it's new to me. iFanboy.com/support is a PayPal link. You know how that works if you want to donate to the show. iFanboy.com/Amazon is a general shopping link, an affiliate link. If you go do your buy-ins through there.
We're going to talk about Audible this week?
Yeah, you could also do that. Is there a link that I'm supposed to mention for that specifically?
I don't know. That information came to us late in the day. I think Audible, if you sign up for Audible through our link, there's a special promotion happening right now. So if you thought at all about using Audible, it's a great time to use our link and then sign up through there.
I am an unabashed audio. I'm at the full gold plan. I go through audiobooks the way that I wish I went through prose books. But that's how it works. I am a huge fan. If you are a person out there and you're like, Josh, what audiobook should I read? I read through a very narrow lens of polar exploration. I will tell you a lot of things. You should do that. Anyway, iFanboy.com/Amazon is your shopping links affiliate. Bookshop.org is a aggregator of local bookstores, and where we can link that to buy books through our website, things that we've talked about. You'll be able to buy it through a local bookstore conveniently. So you're doing good for you, good for them.
Everyone's doing the Lord's work through that.
That's true.
Let's keep going with the final issue of Moonshine Bigfoot #4, and I was very confused because the first 3 issues came out monthly, and then the last one I think came out in June, July, August, September, October. No, so it was a 4-month delay, and so a lot of the details were a little fuzzy. But I love the world and the characters.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just along for the ride, much like you're along for the ride in Smokey and the Bandit and the Cannonball Run. It's not like about the
Yeah.
details; it's more about just having the
No.
good time. And the art from Steve Ellis and Zach Howard on inks is wonderful, and the colors by Nelson Daniel. I would love these guys to continue on with this world and make a. I want to say I don't want to say make the lore, but just sort of like really dig into it because they're funny. Not tell me.
I mean, you can do a lot of one shots for that. I think that in this context, this story didn't need another one. I was like, okay, 4 issues is right for what's going on here. Come back, tell me a new story, do a different thing. I mean, there's so much. I'm shocked that anybody could get. I mean, like looking at this issue and be like, yeah, I'd say you could take 4 months drawing this. I couldn't hold it against them for that.
No, but it was just
super fun.
It was just like, oh man, I don't remember anything.
It was good.
Let's just say the ending says Moonshine Bigfoot and his crew will return in Moonshine Bigfoot 2 Canada Ball Run. So we'll see if that's actually a thing or just a joke.
I'm sure they will want it to be a thing. Yeah.
But this book showed a lot of imagination. I mean, yeah, there's tons and tons of like in jokes and callbacks for stuff our age. Like there was a Hulk Hogan character in here in this issue, but it was done in a really fun and breakneck way. I mean, I
was gonna say if you're gonna do like a bunch of like nostalgic here's
Dukes
things
of
from
Hazzard.
my childhood that I loved, it can get real dumb real fast. But I thought that this leaned into it so much that, and also you didn't technically really need to know any of that stuff.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know who Captain Kangaroo is or who, that's Cobra Commander or what. None of it really matters. If you do know, fine, it's an extra layer, but
that was part of it. The opening scene was talking about this Captain Kangaroo character. He was Uncle Pineapple. And I was like, I don't know what's going on because it just had been so long. I was like, is this guy important?
At the end, I was like, is he the bird or is the bird?
We're all the bird at the end of the day.
No, I didn't care. Whatever.
It was enjoyable, even if I was a little confused by the delay. But that's life in the comics game. Batman: The Long Halloween, the last Halloween, number 10, the final issue of this, basically a tribute to Tim Sale, in which Jeff Loeb has written a sequel to the Long Halloween, the seminal Batman series from 20 years ago, and had a different high-profile artist draw every issue with Tim Sale, covers. And this final issue, we have Matteo Scalera drawing with Dave Stewart's colors. Beautiful comic. And I lost the thread on the story long ago.
It was I read the first handful of them, and that is a bad. That the Jeff Loeb part is a jeers. The other part is a cheers.
But what? I'm not a automatic Jeff Loeb critic. Like I like a lot of what he's written.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm just saying overall, as a build up to, I found myself losing the thread. Partially not because of the writing, partially because I just don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people younger than us really love The Long Halloween, and I like it quite a bit. I own the Absolute right over here, but it's not one of my favorite Batman stories. I don't really care all that much about the Holiday Killer, so I was mostly just reading it for the high profile artwork. But he is capable of writing compelling stories, and he writes a really nice ending here. Actually, extremely similar to Batman and Robin Year One, where it ends on the roof with Batman, Robin, and Gordon, and a
press conference.
No press conference, but in a tie back to the very first line of the original story, ends with Batman saying, "I believe in Gotham City." It was a nice ending. He says, "I believe in Jim Gordon, I believe in Robin, I believe in Batman, I believe in Gotham City.
I believe in America."
And then he makes a baker, do stuff for him. So it was fine. The series was totally worth reading because you had Matteo Scalera, you had Chris Samnee, you had Eduardo Riso, you had just tons of people who don't really Chris Samnee aside, don't do a ton of work. And one issue of it's worth checking out for that, if only for that. So there you go.
Was Bonacera the banker? Or the baker?
Bonacera.
I thought he was.
No, Bonacera was the funeral director.
The funeral director.
The banker was the kid who the baker wanted his daughter to marry, and so the kid comes to the hospital.
Vito tells the story.
Michael uses him as a fake bodyguard for when when the cops and the hitmen come to kill him.
And Bonacera makes up Sonny after he's killed.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
That's the service.
Those are the books we're going to talk about.
It felt really good to talk about that. Like I was like, "What's his name? Bonacera."
Bonacera.
You gotta understand, like this was the first unit of the intro to film class that I took, so I really think about this. I have it. The textbook was like, okay,
I
they
didn't do
built a Sarah
Godfather in
this.
college. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was a film production 101 or whatever. We didn't say 101, but
Was it? It must have been in your lab,
Pierre?
not the
No, it
lab
was the
class. In the we had the lab with everybody. Then we broke up into smaller classes, individual classes.
I'm getting my books mixed up. It was the one that Pierre was the
I didn't
thing
have
for.
him.
No one needs this.
Intro to film. We had a giant auditorium class,
It was that.
and then we all broke up into smaller, whatever they were called classes for smaller
Right.
groups of 20 or
It
whatever.
was the auditorium one. It was
I don't
that
remember
one.
talking about the Godfather. Maybe
All I
asleep.
remember about that is that professor, and this is apocryphal, but I know that he said to someone, or it was said,
Oh, no.
"Son, I've inhaled more marijuana than you have oxygen." He told that to somebody.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Those are the books we're going to talk about. But at patreon.com/iFanboy, every patron gets a vote to add a book to the rundown. And this week, just a couple of days ago, it was Halloween. In the holiday spirit, the winner was Dick Tracy Halloween special from Mad Cave Studios with 2 stories. The first written by Alex Segura, Michael Morrissey, with art by Craig Cermak, colors by Mark Englert, and letters by Jim Campbell. Second story was by Chantal Amy Osman, with art by Emiliana Pina, colors by Warnia Sadoia, and letters by Jody Troutman. I read the first issue of Dick Tracy when they launched this series.
Wasn't it the pick of the week, the patron pick? I think I did too.
I don't think it was. It might have been the patron pick. I don't remember, but it was fine. I love Dick Tracy, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to really continue going. So I haven't read an issue since then.
Right. Yeah, go ahead.
So what was interesting about this main story, because the backup story was, I got about 4 pages in and I just sort of completely lost interest and started skimming it. But the main story, and I don't know because I haven't been reading the whole book, but it was very much like almost a redo of the movie, of the Warren Beatty movie, which I love and own on Blu-ray. There was scenes directly from the movie. There were characters. Really? Yeah, the scene in the diner was directly from the movie when they take the kid to the diner, and then bringing the kid home to live with them at the end is how that happens in the movie too. So it was very, like, I don't know. I assume Alex and Michael were consciously doing that. I mean, because it's like straight up, like they seeing the tramp character beating up the kid, that was in the movie too, and then Dick Tracy beating up the tramp character. Like, it was all. I was like, what?
What's the point of that then?
I don't know.
That's so I thought that this was really well done.
Yeah, it was fine. I enjoyed it.
And I think it was fine, but it did give me, it was like, I don't know, what's the point of this? It feels like it would have been the most fun for the creators to do, because it was like doing something. It's basically a straight up impression of what, this kind of story is, how they talked, it didn't really give you much explanation about what's going on, although I don't think that was really necessary.
No, you didn't need it.
And it was done well enough to sort of explain, like, oh no, that's not Flat Top. Here's why. Right. The reveal, like, as soon as they gave us the information, I was like, well, that's the killer. So it was a little like I was like, try a little harder on that.
It was a murder mystery where someone is impersonating Dick Tracy's adversaries and murdering other people. So someone's pretending to be Flat Top, someone's pretending to be Mumbles, and they're killing people with Tommy guns. And I will also say that one of the great things about Dick Tracy is these bad guys have such great names. And then the new bad guy, they call him like Mosaic.
Mosaic
like, doesn't fit in with like Flat Top and Mumbles.
That's a bad Batman villain.
88 Keys. Like, give him a better theater nickname. But it was fine. It was just it was a murder mystery. Who was the one that's killing all these people? And then it's revealed who it is.
It could be here. I'll tell you, this is the biggest problem in the whole issue. And I'm not really complaining. I think that if this is what you want, this is what they meant to make, and that's what you got. And there's no harm, no foul. It's not my favorite, but I want to like it more than I do, for sure. But she said, the boy says, is it really this guy's job just to cover Dick Tracy? Because he's got a lot of art. And she says, what? No, it's no one's job to cover Dick Tracy. Although someone probably blah blah blah. she said, "Oh, he's got a weird fascination with him," and I was like, "Don't say that part, or figure out a different way to say it." That was too much of a tell for me.
Right.
That's a very minute, but I know like Alex is a mystery novelist. Like he writes mysteries, and I don't want to be given it that early. But maybe that's in keeping with the style of the thing. I don't like. It's
Right.
not supposed to be.
Well, they only
Anyway.
have the issue, right? And
I know. I just
it's
think it could have been done slightly more elegantly. I think.
yeah. It was fine. I enjoyed it well enough, but
that second story made no sense.
Yeah, I couldn't get through it.
I had a really hard time. I kept going back and forth, and eventually I was like, "Wait, so one of the witches just changed sides, and then Tess let her get off, and then made the men respond." I was like, "I don't get okay."
Yeah,
it was not good storytelling. I don't think it was like, "Oh, this is awful," but it was really unclear what happened. And the art and story weren't up to keeping you along.
So the rating on this, I'm just rating the first story because I didn't think the second story was any good. Dick Tracy Hollywood Special. I'm going to give it 3.1 out of 5.
3.
Okay.
That's
fair.
kind. Yeah.
It was. I didn't hate reading it. I okay, this is fine.
Yeah,
but I just felt myself
right.
preoccupied with why is this scene from the movie happening? Why is this happening from the movie?
That's really strange. I think if I had known that, I'm not applying it. But if I had known that, like, and was familiar, I was like, why are you just doing the movie? The one thing that everybody who cares or knows about Dick Tracy has seen is the movie at this point. So don't do that again. I guess.
I just snorted. So let's move on to the patron power. Patreon.com/iFanboy. Every patron votes could add a book to the rundown. But if you give it the $5 or higher level, you get his patron power live on the show. This week's patron is Karl Erikson. Karl can, in other people, not himself, but in other people, raise the level of congestion up or down. He can make you super congested. He can relieve your congestion. He can make everyone really congested and therefore really just incapable of doing anything, or relieve everyone. It could be an offensive power. It can be a defensive power. It could be a healing power. He controls other people's congestion. Oops, but the tragedy is not his own. Not his own. He can't do anything to help himself.
We're just talking about nasal congestion, or he can't do like heart congestion.
No, just in the nasal areas. Yeah.
So
that's,
does it remain? So
yeah, I mean, if he lowers it and walks away, it's
just a master switch he's flipping.
Yeah.
Isn't there an evolutionary reason for congestion?
Probably, but it's fucking annoying.
I know, but like, what if he's like, "Hey, you fixed my congestion," and now I have,
smallpox.
The viruses are going crazy in my system because my passages didn't
You'll have to ask a doctor.
Swell to push everything out of there.
Well, the good news is he's not doing it on a global scale. It's just on an individual.
He completely removes congestion from the whole. You watch. There would be some sort of backfiring effect on that.
There's always
like we'd all lose our feet or something.
That's something we all got diabetes.
Yeah.
So enjoy your power, Karl Erikson. You can decongest or congest people to your heart's desire. Patreon.com/iFanboy. Thanks for being a patron, Karl, and everyone else who does so keeps the show going. So let's do one email of these two. And I know we just did a bunch of them, but this is the job. We'll do the first one.
I've been on the job for 25 years.
Patrick
By
A.
the way, I've got my 25. Do I get a pension when I leave?
Oh, that's true. We need to talk to Carol about that.
Yeah.
Patrick A. from Panang, Malaysia says, I'm an adult, so I don't have as much time as I used to read comics. What's your strategy when you fall behind or want to jump on new books? Do you insist on reading every issue? Just jump on? Lately, I've been just jumping in at whatever the newest issue is. If it's well written, it should still be entertaining. I've been thinking about this since 2018.
I mean, we're not good examples of this.
Right. But it happens occasionally.
It does happen occasionally. And for the most part, if I fall behind and there's issues that I've missed, I will go back and read them to catch up on the new thing for like some kinds of stories.
Mhm.
I really like the just jumping into the when possible, just jumping in, especially in your ongoing sort of
You do that.
DC
You
Marvel
do
things.
that. Yeah.
I just did that. I didn't read the first issue of the Mortal Thor, but I just decided to read the second one.
Mhm.
And here's the thing about mainstream comics. A lot of times you'll find that first issue is completely unnecessary. A lot of times. It's
Mhm.
very much a cold open, like
Mhm.
they'll show you the most exciting thing on the first page and the whole thing, and then you actually get to the story in the second
Well,
issue. That happens way more than you would think.
that's what we said in the midst of our Captain Planet Patron Pick review, was that the second issue was fine. You didn't need the first issue.
Yeah.
I If it really depends. If there's been like 2 issues or something, and it's
Yeah.
something I'm really curious about, I'll just go back and read the 2 issues. But if it's a book that's been out for a while, there's really no point, no other choice but to jump in.
Mhm.
I can't think of a book that I've
But
joined
like,
super late, but I know for sure there's been books where I've been like, okay, I want to catch that. Like, for instance, Beneath the Trees Nobody Sees, which Josh bought me he bought me the trade of the original volume for, and it was in the second volume. So I guess that one counts because that means I read 6 issues to catch up to current.
so that's the difference though, is like if you're talking about ongoing books versus like a story,
Right.
and so many, especially indie books, are sort of self-contained stories that build on one another in volume form. All that said, like, here's an example that doesn't exist anymore, but something like this. I think you could have, during the like Invincible run,
Mhm.
just jumped on at some issue and gone from there. I think that would
Sure.
have been fine.
Yeah.
Just the same way that you could do it with Superman, but like a Rick Remender book, I could barely hold on.
Yeah, you
You
wouldn't be
know,
able to do that.
so it
Jump in the
depends,
middle of Deadly Class would be a disaster.
right?
Yeah, it depends on the comic, depends how many issues will come out, depends on a lot of things. But yeah, I mean, I think we're very much pro, like, just try jumping in and see what happens.
Mhm.
If it's
And
like an
and
ongoing.
I absolutely agree with the idea, like, it should be entertaining. I think there's books where it's not the case, but, like a mainstream Marvel DC book, it should it should be trying to bring you along. I think if it's doing its work, which can be subtle, that you should know what's going on. And we've said it many times, but the paragraph, the synopsis should get you up to speed, if it
Yeah,
exists.
and if it happens, that's very helpful. Yeah, I mean, he, Patrick said in his email that if it's written well, then it should be fine. But it's not really the way comics are written anymore. I mean, they're not. We talk about this all the time. The
So,
comics aren't always naming the characters, naming their abilities, we're talking about Marvel and DC, naming their
mhm,
the premise all the time. But it still should be. You should be able to just jump in to a Marvel or DC book without a problem.
yeah.
So there you go. Thanks for writing in, Patrick. Patrick wrote it to contact@ifanboy.com. We want to hear from you. Get on the show, write into contact@ifanboy.com. You can write in for a Media Explode show by putting Media Explode in the subject line. Thanks for doing that. And so now we're entering a new month. 2 weeks ago, Josh had his Talk Explode interview with Jason Fabok. Is that it?
Fabok.
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 Fabok. This coming week, so this show comes out Sunday. On this coming Thursday, you'll have our Media Explode for November, where this is all emails all the time. Will be our year-end mailbag, which is what we always do. We just sort of coincided with our anniversary show. Our year-end Media Explode mailbag. We're going to talk about the stuff we've been enjoying, and then answer your emails for the rest of the show. And then later this month, it's another Talk Explode. It's Josh's final Talk Explode of the year. Will be coming this month, some point from someone, but that'll be later in the month. So don't worry about it until then.
This is my friend from work, Phil.
In the meantime,
Phil, have you ever read comics? No.
You can find our library of just about I think in the current feed there's about 1,500 shows around there. There's total. We've done 2,000 shows in total when you count all the video shows and everything. But the 1,500 shows or so that are available on the feed are over at ifanboy.com, wherever podcasts are sold. Never miss a show. Nope. Yeah, never miss a show. Find out what the pick league is before the show comes out by following us at iFanboy Comics on Instagram and Threads, at ifanboy.com on Blue Sky, and individually we are CS Kilpatrick on Instagram and J. Flanagan on Instagram. And don't miss our former writer Jeff Reed's video deep dives into comic book history and minutia. That's every Tuesday and Friday on YouTube and on Threads and on Facebook and on Instagram. Everywhere but Blue Sky.
They're still saying words.
That's after show is going to be fun.
Please consider writing. I told you we doing this early in the day because I was like, I'm gonna crash if we do it late. Like, I'm crashing.
Well, let's get it over with.
I'm at the end of the cold, which is like yesterday. I couldn't have done this. Consider writing us a review or leaving a star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whichever system makes sense for you to do that thing for. If you have Pocket Casts, a system I've literally only heard of by saying this line that's written for me, but apparently I discovered it's many of the patrons use it apparently.
Yeah.
Then I locked into my podcast thing like over a decade ago, and it's not changing now unless it's forced. So,
most things in life.
If yeah, no, that's the age. I was like, oh, that's why old people dress like old people, because they were like, what am I supposed to do now? And I was like, I get it. Unfortunately,
well, they don't advertise old people because we're like, I've already got my thing.
I just look like a guy who was into skating and punk rock in the 90s, and then we're gonna stay there.
Awesome in the old folks home.
Yeah, that's fine. It's gonna be awesome. You know, let's give Brian K. Vaughan and Mark Rasmussen credit.
He was right.
Smartest man. It's one of the smartest things I've ever read is The Private Eye. Just like nailed it. Where were we? You'll have to if you're on that Pocket Cast, which apparently is a thing, I'm taking your word for it. You'll have to have subscribed and downloaded episodes before you rate it. By the way, if I've said this a million times, you please just rate it so that we can be. You can all write to me like we did it, and then I'll be like, okay, I don't have to say that anymore. Subscribe to youtube.com/iFanboy, where you'll see us making dumb, stupid faces because we have to. And watch the video version of this show after you've clicked past the dumb stupid face because I have to, and all the special edition shows are there. Jeff reads comic book deep dives, and you can find an archive. Little gas, what do you want? A little burp there. Do you know Bradley Whitford would do the thing where he would burp like while talking on the West Wing, like as like a see how many you can fit in? So he'd be talking and just be like, and that was the thing.
I don't remember that at all.
He said it like after the fact, like it's like the subtle, like if you watch the character, like he holds one, like it's not loud or anything.
Oh yeah.
See him do it.
He goes like,
yeah. So that was like a thing. You'll also find our old video shows we did from 2007 to 2012. Finally join us on the iFanboy after show. If you are a patron at $10 or higher, there's going to be a video of varying length where we talk about the rest of the books that we read this week that didn't make it on this show, which will begin momentarily. And there's no stupid face on that screenshot because not everybody can have it. So I like it.
That's it. Okay. I think we should let Josh stop talking and go to bed after the after show.
We're talking. Yeah, no, you're making me talk more.
So this is fun. We're back in the saddle. This is a much more normal episode than last week. Last week was fun, but I like being back in the swing of things. So,
oh shit, we've had Mark Wade on hold this whole time. We were supposed to let him in.
He's pissed. Until next week,
do not piss off Mark Wade. That's a thing I know. I'm Josh. Next time.